The year was 1984. Capcom had an arcade hit on their hands. They had taken a gamble on making a vertical shooter for Western markets, and it had paid off. 1942 was a smash hit at arcades in both Japan and the North American markets. Of course, this meant that come 1986 a home conversion was ordered for the NES. Micronix, a company that never even credited itself on games it developed, was tasked to bring this game home. Today, we're going to take a trip back to 1986 and look at 1942 on the NES and see how it was, how it is, and any legacy this game might have today. Okay, so let's see here. This is a Japanese-developed game about fighting Japan in World War II. That's a little weird. Let's see what the paper-thin story setup is. You play as Super Ace, and your mission appears to be to cross the entire Pacific Ocean and destroy the entire Japanese air fleet with your one plane. Okay, simple enough. I can live with a suicide mission that just eats quarters for my plot. Now, this game is older than me, but I have distinct memories of playing it at pizza places when I was a kid. My parents would hand me $1 in quarters, and I'd wander off for 20 minutes so they could enjoy a reprieve from parenthood. This is an NES game in my collection that I admit I haven't sat down and played before. I bought it on a whim based on memories of playing it as a kid, so I'm going in completely blind here. So if you've been paying any attention to the footage, you'll see this port has some shortcomings. Which is a shame because the basics are there. Now, the combat is a bit simple. Your plane can shoot, roll, and that's about it. You can hold the shoot button, but the fire rate is so slow you're going to be quickly overwhelmed. Button mashing or turbo controllers are the only real way to deal with this. The roll is a neat little thing I hadn't really seen before. Most games of this era, if they gave you a second button, they let you bomb the screen in a bullet hell emergency. The roll here takes you out of the game for a few seconds while you do a cute little loop-de-loop. It has its moments where you can do something that looks really cool to escape certain death, but more often than not, I would come back into the field and just die immediately. Otherwise, you just slowly fly forward and shoot the big planes, small planes, slow planes, fast planes. There's just lots and lots of planes. Some planes shoot at you, some drop power-ups, some try and crash into you. It's all pretty standard fare, and when you can enter that zen zone, the game can be a lot of fun. Motherfucker! When you die, you don't just respawn like you do in every other game in this genre. You get knocked back to a checkpoint and have to get to the next one in one life. This is quarter eating at its finest. I have to respect them for it, even if I end up putting my copy of the game in the microwave by the time we're done here. Everything else is kinda hard to forgive, even for 1986 and the hardware. I don't know if it's my NES, or if this is just how the game plays, but look at these scrolling problems at the top of the screen. It's distracting, glitchy, and ugly. The sprite flicker is all over the place and causes an endless sum of problems. I don't know if there's just too much going on or what, but the constant flickering of enemy sprites, my own bullets disappearing, and partial disappearing acts of larger ships is distracting and really takes away from the fun that can be found here. In fact, once you actually encounter a boss, they don't risk the sprite flicker and just render it without any animation as part of the background. Speaking of the backgrounds, you generally just swap between a scrolling ocean and a scrolling environment of islands. I don't know if it's just a color limitations issue, or devious game design, or just a horrendous port job, but the planes have a tendency to blend with the environments, which, combined with the screen flicker, just makes me want to flick this game into a trash can. Well, at least the 8-bit sound can't be worse than these sprites, right? What was that? Was that a sound effect? Was that the music? It just kind of repeats every now and then, huh? Is there a rhythm to this? Is this some sort of march? Is this the song of my life now? Sometimes there's an actual music sting when you start or end a stage, but there's no real rhyme or reason to it. This port is so bad. I need to go play the arcade version or something to remind myself of what I had when I was a kid. Here we go, so much better. Look at how much smoother it is. Look at those sweet, sweet animations on the planes. Oh, there's just so much going on screen. This is so much more engaging. No. Don't do this to me. I can't. I can't. Oh, at least the boss isn't part of the background. That's nice. I'm going to march this arcade cabinet straight into the ocean. So 1942 is a terrible port of a solid arcade game. It wasn't good in 1986, it's not good today, and frankly, if you need to play it now, there's other better ways to do it. There's ports on semi-modern hardware, and this game isn't exactly pushing MAME to its limits if you're on a computer. This game spawned a full series, which I'm sure we'll cover in due time, but for now it occurs to me that I don't think 1942 is what I played as a kid. I think I was playing whatever game that was on an MVS cabinet, which 1942 is not. While I don't know what game was a staple of my childhood, 1942 was not it. Hopefully I never have to hear your sweet, sweet music ever again.